Good morning. This is Judy at Artistic Artifacts. Sorry we're a little late today. I was in the store putzing around looking at all the great fabric, and all of a sudden I realized what time it was. So sorry about that, but fabric, it's always very inspiring and lots of color, so I enjoy it. But totally forgot that 9:30 came. But we're here now, and we are talking about photos today. So let me just go through my announcements and make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on. We have great news. We're with our new email program. We are fully vested in our customers. So our warming period is over, and we have great results. So thank you for your patience on that. So if you think you've signed up for the newsletter and you don't receive it next Wednesday, please go back in and subscribe. And then if that doesn't work, please email us. So it's just a couple of steps to make sure that we get it done correctly through the system. And if you know of people, and this applies to anybody that you get an email from, if it's something that doesn't, is not necessarily in your life at the moment, or you're not interested in getting it, please unsubscribe. Don't spam it. Please unsubscribe. And at the end of any legitimate email, there is always an unsubscribe button. On ours, on anybody who is a legitimate company, we have laws that require us to have that in place for you. So it's fine if you get too many. You can't, that's okay. We get that. But please always use the unsubscribe button, whether it's for us or whether it's for somebody else. We want the information to be pertinent to you and helpful. So that's really, our newsletter is always filled with sales information, coupon codes, but always information for you as well. Sharon is very dedicated to that and has been for years. So the newsletter is in good shape, we think. Let us know if you're not getting it, because we do want you to have it. We are also working on our April summit classes, and somebody left their phone on, but that's okay. It'll go off eventually. So the summit classes, there's still some room in the classes. It's a wonderful weekend to meet and greet and hang out with lots of fun people. You can come for one class. You can come for 3 classes. We have people who meet here and hang out. We're kind of in the middle. Maybe you're in the north, maybe you're in the south, and you want a place to meet your friend that you haven't seen in a while and take a class. So it's a great opportunity for that. Alexandria is a wonderful destination in itself. We just make it better because we're here. But they, it's really is a nice, it has an old town. It's by a waterfront. It is one of the top destinations in the country. So you can do double duty there. So those are on our website. Those classes are there. The other thing I know I've told you about is our long arms. So we brought in 2 long arm frame machines from Bernina at the end of August, and we have a team of 4 people who are working on learning to use them, the Q-matic. Don't get excited. We're not hiring it out. We're not going to take in quilts because we're still really learning. Our goal is to educate you on the advantages of a long arm and how it can work for you. And we're going to have an event in April for that. And I do have a couple of reservations from people who have emailed me their interest. And we have actually got information and registration up, and I will send you links for that. It is in the workshop area. So these are classes. It is sales. It's totally a sales. I want to be totally transparent. It's not a class about free motion. It's not a class structure. We're working on getting those classes going forward for people. This is strictly people who are like, wow, would that be something for me? Can I use it? Would it be of value? And these are the choices that are available to you. So I want to be totally transparent about the purpose of it, so that you know. We are very, very competitive in our pricing for Bernina machines and accessories and classes. And we continue to gain ground on our knowledge and our experience. And that was the long arm, was kind of that next loop for us to go through. All right, so I'm talking away here. What else do I have going on? Who's there?
Got a few people in here.
Okay.
Got our friends from North Ireland.
Yeah, hello.
Apparently we have the same weather. I'm not surprised.
Oh, yeah, it's awful here.
Right. A little quiet.
A little quiet.
Saturday morning.
So, yeah, okay. Well, we know, and that's why we record it. We record it for you to be able to watch it later, because we know everybody's on different time zones. So.
Oh, Katarina from Woodstock.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Katarina. Yep. All right.
Morning, June.
Yeah. So let's see. I have my classes up for the summer. I am doing a lot of traveling, so my classes are pretty limited. But by those, we put the Indigo and my dye days up, which are the most popular ones that I teach. Those are there, and we have an awesome Buy Annie event that will be in the store. So we are able to borrow samples, and so we're going to have a show on the Thursday, the 21st. Again, it's on the calendar. It's in the workshop area where you can come. There'll be a special discount for Buy Annie products that night. 20% off, and we're going to show you finished products, as well as we're putting together kits now that will hopefully give you a new twist on some opportunities with Buy Annie products. So we hope that you like those. Okay, all right, now to the nuts and bolts. So we went through January and did fodder, fabric fodder, fiber fodder, and created some things that we then in February and March, I showed you how I used it. And that is the finished products, how we did that. And I don't know, I'm going to show you something from before. This one, as I assembled, so to speak, live, and I wanted to show you that I added the bird. So this was working with Ultra Solvy threads, a woodblock print of a bird, and then I stitched it and used the wash away. So I put the bird on there, and it just layered this up on the live, so you can see that this is fabric paper. This is a charm, this is the bird, and it's on wool. Very, very easy and quick, and did it on the live. So that's just an aside. I have always liked vintage. Orphans, orphan pictures, orphan clothing. I just have always really liked that. I think it just has a wonderful feel and history, and so ever since I was very young, I was always a collector. So I like pictures. When we did our previous Facebook Live about photographs, we talked about transfer artist paper. We talked about printing on cotton, and I showed you how to work with paper Solvy, which is a wash away paper. It doesn't have to be Solvy, but there is that. And those are all in a previous video, so I'm not going to redo it. These are some great, helpful books that are written by Leslie Riley about working with transfer artist paper. It's very, very informative. The Photo Memory Quilts talks about working with pictures. changing the colors in them, lighting them up, talking about ink and printing, more of the technique. And this one is the transfer artist paper. Hey, Julie's on the phone. And it has some really great projects in both of them. Love the books. Love Leslie Riley. She's great. And always, if she always responds. If you know her on Facebook, you can contact her. She responds. And we had her teach here last year. Hopefully we'll be able to have her teach again in the future. So pictures. I find pictures everywhere. There's Flickr accounts that you can find that the Library of Congress has. You always have to be mindful of trademark, and they will tell you that this is trademarked. I will use trademark pictures only in my personal artwork that I'm going to keep and that I'm not selling and I'm not passing on. So that's one of the things about the pictures. And again, trademark, copyright, that's a whole big conversation that keeps happening. And I think the best that we can do is be respectful of the individual who originally took the picture. So, and there's a lot more to it, which we're not going to get into. So this is just really a trunk show to tell you and to show you what I have done with some pictures. So these two I had hanging in the store for a long, long time because I didn't have enough product to fill the rack. Not a problem now. We don't have room for samples, but these are old vintage postcards. And I scanned them and put them in, and they are on fabric. No, these are transfer artist paper. There's a little bit of polymer on there. And then you can see I found hand-dyed pieces, some luchador, some beads and things. My favorite part to do is to add a pin. I know I've said that to you before. I love adding pins. You obviously don't have to deconstruct them. You pin them on and they will hang. So this is another one that's a postcard. This book cover here, this is definitely fabric. So this is EQ Printables. It's a very fine weave and gives you lots of detail. This is a vintage postcard that I enlarged. So that is there. And this is, I think that's the only picture I have in here. This is from a different project. And it's also on YouTube. It's about working with wood blocks as samples. So the rest of the book is, these are wood blocks and they've all been hand stitched. And that's on YouTube as well.
Oh yeah, can you reiterate that this is a part of a series?
Okay.
Got some questions, people asking for a class, and there are a lot of how-tos before this.
Okay, yes, I know, because that's a little hard. I just can't cover everything in a half an hour. So in January, and these are on YouTube, we did fodder. So we did one about threads and wash away. We did another one on creating fabric paper, creating silk paper, and working with photographs. So those are all on YouTube. They're saved. Facebook only allows us to save videos on our feed for 30 days. So go to our YouTube channel and you will find lots and lots of stuff. So those were the how-tos. Now what I was trying to show you in the next part of it was what to do with it now that I made this drawer full of silk paper or have these pictures. So this is kind of using those items in the finished product. I've shown you, we've done previous videos on what to do with silk paper, what to do with fabric paper, and what to do with thread. So again, these have been a two-part series, and they are recorded and they are on YouTube. So, and it's not like a class, but I try to tell you how to do it. We've had lots of experimentation that's been posted on Artistic Artifacts Creative Minds Facebook page, which is our community page. And people have been responding to trying these things out with the materials and coming up with their own ideas on what to do. So that's been the process there. Does that answer those questions? Okay. And the Creative Minds group is our community page. Please post what you do with products that you buy from us. Please encourage other parts of the members of the community who post things and respond. It's really an important area to for testing and being brave and being out there. So there's been a lot more activity, and I appreciate your posts and your comments and things. So that's really important. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, good. All right. That's fine. Questions are good. So let's see where we go. This one I did fairly early. So I was obviously in Indonesia in 2012, and it was a very impactful visit. We brought the business that was the boutique panels that we have that are really awesome. And I just, again, wanted to do something to honor boutiques in Indonesia. So again, women of Indonesia are very strong and very important part of the community, and I wanted to honor them.
Never brought me.
No, not yet. I have not brought you. Oh, never make promises to your child unless you're going to follow through with them. All right. So then another one that I did is this piece, and this is transfer artist paper. So I can tell by putting my fingers on them, transfer artist paper has polymer, and polymer is what's transferring the ink from the printer. So it has a little bit of a surface. Then, so I made a little mini quilt. This is a piece of silk paper, and I put it on a canvas. So that was a piece I did. And I like stuff. I mean, you guys have to know that. I like stuff. I like things to put on things. I like the whole idea of adding pieces. So Caitlin, can you get me my little dolls that I did with the transfer artist paper that's hanging on the rack? Thank you. I forgot those. This piece, these are my orphan grandfathers. Yes, let's find words. And what I did, these are hand-dyed pieces that I did. Again, I have some things that I thought maybe you'd find in a grandfather's pocket. A key, a domino, an eyeglass, just oddball things that I thought. But I thought I was just so cool when I figured this one out. This piece that it's mounted to, thank you, is a part of a suitcase. So I actually cut it out of an old suitcase. It had the bar for the pants on it that I could tie some things to. And this is how it's mounted. And then this is a little tricky part because obviously I carry this around with me all the time. But I had to fuse this. And it's got a little bit of wear in that, but I hung it this way. I'm sure there's another way to hang it. But this actually hangs in my studio. I absolutely love it. But think of other ways to mount your quilts. There's always some additional ways to do it. And what I consider non-traditional, I use old clothing hangers quite a bit. Now this piece was a challenge that was The Beatles by Donna. And this was a piece that my mom brought me back a picture from Florida. So what I want you to see about this, and Leslie talks about it in her book about transfer artist paper, but for me, it was a great surprise because I had never thought about it. So again, a quilt and a quilt. So this is a quilt layer. These are vintage pieces. But if you see, this is a piece of vintage silk. And all of these band players are women, and they are in white dresses. So because there was white in the picture, you can see the vintage piece of silk behind it. I had no idea that was going to happen, but when you go back and read Leslie's book, she tells you it will happen. And I think that that just adds some more dimension. So I'm always, since I've started this business, grateful to my friends. And this is the Beatles song with a little help from my friends. So not necessarily getting help all the way that they did, but a lot from people and friends. So that's this piece.
We did have one question in
Yeah.
regards to the canvas. Did you glue the silk paper to it, or?
Yes, I did. I did glue. So I actually collaged the back. You can see that there's some collage paperwork and some paint in there, and it is glued, and most likely was soft gel. So I apply a very thin layer of soft gel on the back with a credit card. So it's very thin, and then you have to let it sit overnight, and then you can add the next steps. So let's see, what does the back look like? Okay, so I probably glued this too. This is glued also. So I did this piece and I stitched all of these things onto there. This is the only one that you can see I wired it, and that's this wire here. A button keeps it tight. And then, so this is glued as well. When you're putting things on canvas, the fusible doesn't work that well. You really have to get through some tough layers on it. So this was all probably adhered with soft gel. So, all right. Now we do have a product by Jacquard, and Jacquard's having some difficulty at the moment supplying their organza. We cannot really get a great answer from them. It's to the best of our knowledge, it's with the processing of the organza to the paper. And we just have no idea how complicated that is. But we have not gotten our shipment. I know everybody across the country is out of it, and I'm sorry for that inconvenience because I love that product myself. But we don't have any yet. So this was a piece that I printed again. Was a paisley silk, and I block printed. So this was actually a piece of paisley that I cut out, but you could do this with organza and print an item on this and then do the beading. So it's an idea on how to use it. I just shortcut and found a piece of fabric, but there are ways that you can create that yourself. All right. This is a piece I think I've shown before that is a beach photo. You know, you went into these photo booths and they gave you backgrounds, and this was actually catastrophe that I tried to fix a little bit better. I did a transfer. I didn't correct the photo darkness in the print, and so I had to actually come back over it with a piece of paper and print it. So it was kind of didn't work. So then I just added some stuff to it, some sparkle, some making it look like it really was at the beach. And then I used my blue and my fish, took some fish out of my fish drawer. So I can even salvage a mistake. Just go to the next option. Okay. This is a vintage postcard that's there. That's transfer artist paper on Luchador. And then again, pins and vintage, and this is paper. And that's a picture on a quilt. It's part of a dress with some old beaded pieces. This piece, again, I did very early on. This appeared in Sacred Threads, and this is a photograph of a sculpture or carving that was in a German castle, and it just reminded me of Joan of Arc. So this was on organza. I painted the background. I used a fine metal mesh and coins. So you can layer, definitely layer pieces. Okay. And those of you who might remember that Cindy and I did a challenge, and this was a challenge that was called Power Suits. And I went on Flickr. This is how I found out about the Library of Congress. And we have a prison that was called Lorton, that was a prison located in Virginia, but it was for District of Columbia. And when the women's suffragettes marched on Washington, the capital, they were put in jail at Lorton. And when Lorton closed, a lot of pictures came out. And so this was my power suit, and learning, personally was learning more about the suffragettes. So, and these are all transfer artist paper on fabrics that were samples from a tailor. So it's got wool suiting pieces, shirting pieces.
This was a really cool challenge. This is very much a blast from the past.
Yes, it is. You photographed all of the pieces. We had like 100 pieces submitted, and we hung them in the store. Now it would be very difficult because we have too much stuff, but at that time we had a way of hanging them.
Didn't this tour in Canada also? Didn't we do a national tour with
this? Yes, it did go to shows, and it was exhibited at quilt shows. So these are actual jail pictures. They were in jail.
How do you adhere the tap?
So this photograph is transferred from the tap onto the material, and then I have stitched the picture to the quilt. Okay. All right. And this, Caitlin got me went and grabbed my dolls. So we have these little kits that are, what do you want me to do? Too far forward. Okay, sorry. I was not getting those hand motions. That actually has been found, the idea was generated from Leslie Riley's book, where she has, we just give you the materials to make it, because of course we want you to buy Leslie's book to get the information on how to make it and support her as an artist. And we had a lot of fun with these. So the faces on the dolls are transfer artist paper, and the kit contains several photographs, several faces that you can use. And here's Leslie's examples and her instructions. And they're really quite fun. I have just a little hanger there. Okay. So those are fun. And then the last thing for me to show you, and this is a book that I created. This took a little bit of time. It's yeah, just all I can tell you is it took time. So I have went through a lot of my older pictures and incorporated them. And so I just created these as little vignettes on the pages. Here's an old advertising card. There's the one, and these grandmas there. And I went through, I had so many bits and pieces of sewing items and advertising cards. And I stitched them on, fused them on to these pieces. This is the side of a box. So that fell apart. Old pieces of linens and laces, pieces of old quilts. This is a favorite with my scissors. Old advertising cards. Picture. This actually, my grandmother's in here somewhere. This was a picture of the ladies that she worked with at the telephone company. So that's from her. And then here's, see, there's a piece of organza that's been printed on, has some words, and it flows over here. And layers. I'm always trying to figure out how to get layers. Another wonderful postcard. These are all fused. This is from a book. So I actually scanned a book about crocheting. Not crocheting. It's not crocheting. It's something else. Here's a tape measure and more pictures. Really proud of this book. Just really was absolutely fabulous to make and create. I was able to use lots and lots of my saved vintage items. So that's the last one that I have to show you. Again, pictures are, you can use personal pictures, and I use a lot of orphan pictures, as I say. Everybody needs a home. So those are many, many ways, whether it's quilting, whether you're using them in your paper art or your fabric art, there's lots of ways to use pictures to incorporate.
Two things. Excuse me. There was a question about that last page. Is it tatting?
Tatting, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then apparently so did your second grandmother work at the phone company. And then where did it go?
My second grandmother? Oh, okay.
Grandma. Oh, have you ever tried melting the USPS envelopes and using those as embellishments?
I haven't. Those are Tyvek. I don't know why I have this thing about Tyvek. I think someone told me that it was toxic at one point in time. So do it in well ventilation, please. But you can do some really cool things with melting and heat guns and stuff. So yes, but I haven't gone there. You just do it in well ventilated space, please.
And then we have a question about the quilt.
Okay. Good. I forgot to talk about the quilt. So this is Chris's quilt she made, and it's a disappearing 9-patch with Aboriginal fabrics, and we are kitting this. So there will be some kits coming up. We hope to have them available for you on this Wednesday's newsletter. We're working on that. But this will be, Chris has a blog post about how she did it, disappearing 9-patch. It's very versatile. And we absolutely love our Australian fabrics and Aboriginal inspired. And this is what we'll be having kits of this exact quilt. Nothing's exact in our world, but close. And we did quilt this on our long arm that we have in the store. So it turned out wonderful. Mm-hmm.
And while I'm doing this, we got 2 more questions.
Okay.
When you do the books, do you make one page and then put it together, or back to
back? I work back to front. So I try to work with 2 pages open. So I do kind of my center folds first, so to speak. And then I go back after I have my center folds, and then I start assembling it and working so when the pages turn, they kind of have a cohesive story.
And then will you be offering classes of this type of art for those who missed the announcement?
We have a lot of information on our YouTube. I am gone a lot this year, so I can't quite gear up classes at the moment. So I love doing this kind of thing and would love to share it with everybody. So we're working on trying to figure that out. I would love to do something towards Zoom oriented or versus in person, maybe reach some more people, all of you guys that are across the country that can't quite come to the store, but we're getting closer. I promise we're getting closer.
Talk about the summit again.
The summit. Yes, it is. It is. It's mixed media, the Artistic Artifacts Creative Summit, and that is available now. So that will be held in April. There are many classes. We have 4 teachers. I'm teaching a couple of classes, but we have Liz Kettle, Libby Williamson, and Gwen LaFleur. We had our first summit last year, and everyone requested that these teachers come back. And so we have spaces available in their classes at the moment. But Liz has added some books. I know that they are doing some screens, which is kind of like this type of stuff. There's samples, information, and registration. So you can come for a day, you can come for 3 days, and there's just a whole wonderful choices in classes that's available to you. So see those on our workshop page on our website. All right. So the store's open. We have to get to the next job, and I hope that everybody enjoyed looking at my trunk show, so to speak, and that it encourages you to create some things on your own and have a very creative day. And we look forward to seeing you next week.